Is there someone you're missing this Valentine's Day? Me too. Let's show them how much we care and make them a card. And I'm Melody. Welcome to my channel, Making Melody Crafts. Hit that subscribe button and let's get started. All right, we've got quite a few things here. I'm just going to kind of go through it quickly and show you all of the different things that I grabbed that just kind of inspired me for Valentine's Day and what I want to make. So I've got just a bunch of different stamps, some heart stamps, some Be Mine, some with just a bunch of hearts across there, then some acrylic paints. This one has glitter in it, but don't worry, it's not going to get anywhere. Another stamp, I absolutely love this one, Sun Chocolate. And then some archival ink. This is magenta, I believe. Yep, magenta, archival ink. Another stamp, some stencils, some stickers, some more stickers, lots of cool different stickers from K & Company, basic gray, and this pattern is Sublime. I love it. It is sublime to me. Then some more stickers, so many uses for those. These are chipboard stickers. Then we've got some stamps. This is inspired stamps from Etsy. God Bless Your Art. That's the Etsy shop. I'll put it in the description box below though so that you can see it. These are just some acrylic stamps and letters, so we might be using those. This is just something that I did with a texture tool, a Vicki Boutin texture tool. And I'll show you what I did with that and how I did it. It's really, really neat. And just lots of texture there, and then using paint too. And then I've got some watercolor paper and my scratch pad, and the watercolor paper is a Canson, and that's a cold press paper, and I got that. As you know, I love to put the prices that I pay for things on them. I don't know, it kind of helps me keep track, but I also like knowing when I got a deal. And this was 33 cents a sheet. Paint and inks, that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna get a little messy, so let's get started. All right, I've got my scrap paper down, and I've got a piece of the Canson watercolor paper. I'm gonna trim down the watercolor paper now, so that it's a little bit easier for me to work with. These are the paints that I'll be using, and I got both of them on clearance, which makes me so happy. That's what the glitter paint looks like. It's just really white with some red glitter. On some of my brushes, the ferrule actually came off the brush itself. If you have any solutions for that, let me know in the comments below. It's this one, and it comes right off. It's not as handy as you think. So, yeah, do I glue it? Do I try to, it appears like it's really tight on there, so I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. I'd love some solutions. Yeah, and that red one, the consistency is a little bit too thick, but I'm gonna make it work. I guess I could have grabbed a bigger palette. I do have a much bigger palette. That would have probably been a good idea. So you really want kind of a lot because we want to get, texture out of it. If you didn't have some kind of a texture tool like that, you could just take some plastic and cut some, cool shapes on the edge of plastic. If you have pinking shears, that's one thing that would be kind of cool to get like a nice edge for texture. I don't know, what are some other ideas? Do any of you have some things that you use that you just find to be so great for texture? I would love to know. And then just keep working that paint down. You can even use the flat side if you want to smooth it out, because I want a little bit more at the bottom there, and I know I've got a lot of paint here, so I really don't need any more. If I hold it up a little bit straighter, then it really scrapes it nicely, and then I can always tip it down to kind of scrape off the edge. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have paint on this sweater, I know. That's okay. I love this sweater, it keeps me so warm. And I do have eczema. I like to raise eczema awareness on my channel, so I also wear the thumb sweater for that reason. If my hands are a little red and, it's a little unsightly, for some people, then I want to be, kind and respectful of that. All right, I want you to be able to see the texture when I do it, so I'm going to bring you in a little closer. Just going to use this skewer to hold things still. Oh yeah. Do you see it? I've noticed with this too, if I hold it up straight, I get a lot more off. If I just want a little bit of a subtle texture, then I wouldn't. I like how it looks when it's kind of going back and forth. Like a wave almost. Let's try that. Alright, now. And then you'll still be able to see the lines underneath. So I like to go first one way and then the other. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Alright, so this is the paint we have left on here. It's really not a lot of waste. I'm going to go ahead and grab the other piece of watercolor paper and just wipe that on there. I have to say I'm not a big fan of glitter because it goes everywhere and it makes such a mess, but it can be really neat when it's kind of contained and locked down. I'm going to show you the other ones that have the glitter embedded in the paint as well that I already finished. I want you to see what that was like. All right, this is a really cool texture tool. So over here, as you can see, it's just like a scalloped edge. There you've kind of got like a tongue and groove, and then just your zigzag. It's pretty great, and it's nice because it has a spot in the back to kind of hold on, so it's easy to hold on to. Yeah, I really like that, and I got this on a Tuesday morning. I actually did a haul video when I got this, so I'll link it here. Right now, I'm gonna let this dry and be back in a little bit. The cards that I'm gonna be making today, one will involve paint and one will not, which basically boils down to one will be messy and one will not. All right, I've got the other piece of watercolor paper. Oh my gosh, I needed a bigger palette. Oh, what was I thinking? You know what, let's just keep going. It makes it more fun. And if you're having some fun or learning something, please subscribe. That would help me out so much. And maybe hit that notification bell too while you're at it. All of those little things help me to get noticed by YouTube. The thumbs up button, the subscribe, and subscribing's for free, which is pretty cool. And last time I feel like I didn't have enough paint on there to really get the texture I wanted, so I'm glad I've got some extra now. So let's get that mixed in. Honestly, I do like having a smaller palette when I'm filming so that you can see everything and I can keep it in frame pretty well. So this time I'm going to get a thicker coat on everything so I get some nice texture lines in there. And this paper is actually made in Canada, the scrap paper that I'm using. All right, that is a pretty good thickness on there, I think. I don't want anything uncovered so that the texture tool really has something to grab onto. Give me some cool lines. Let's get a baby wipe ready. Or 200. All right, so we've got our texture tool. Here we go. I haven't tried that little tongue and groove one yet, so let's try that one. Oh, look at that. I hope you can see it. Can you see it? It's so cool, isn't it? Okay. All right, now I'm going to keep my skewer in a spot where it doesn't have a lot of paint. All right, let's go this way. This creates really nice lines. I think I like the tongue and groove one. Does anybody else have this? And do you love it too? I mean, it's just so much fun. I have to say though, I do not like painting a room. That is not my vibe. But painting on this, yes. Super, super fun. Check it out. Isn't that pretty cool? So let me try to get it where you can see it and I don't get paint on my tripod. My word, I got paint on my sweater. Okay, now I said all that glitter stayed with the paint. Evidently I was wrong. And as I'm cleaning this, I'm not rinsing the glitter down the drain because, you know, I just don't want that to get into our, you know, water supply and whatnot to go down the drain. So I'm using a baby wipe and then it'll go right in the trash, the bit of waste that there is. All right, it's the next day and I can't wait to show you everything that we used that texture tool on yesterday and how it turned out. It's totally dry, but I was grabbing a couple more things that I want to, you know, possibly use on these cards, so I want to show you that real quick. So this is just a box of brads that I have, and I have some hearts, some pink and red hearts and some other different brads in there. So I'm going to get those out and then show you all the texture paper, which is right under here. Here we go. Here's how everything turned out. So I guess I'll go from the most or the least textured to the most. So let's do that. So this one, it does look really cute. I don't know if you can see it that well on the camera, but the texture came out nice. But I was sadly mistaken when I said once it's on there it doesn't come off. Well, okay, now it isn't coming off, but I did have a little bit of glitter on my hands. This is like a thicker chunky glitter, so it's not too bad, but you know, from the paintbrush and things like that. So if you don't really like that, then obviously, you know, don't do that. And I'm not a huge fan of glitter, but it does make a really pretty effect in the paint. It makes it sparkle. There's this one that's got more texture. You know, this is an ongoing, you know, you have things like this, right? Please tell me you do. Just an ongoing thing. I'm trying to make this into something I like, but we're not there yet. So that just goes there for now until I figure it out. This one, it does have a lot of texture, but my favorite thing about this, even though it's not the most textured, which I'll show you in just a minute, it's like right over there. But this one has, you know, the way I didn't use the texture tool, I went kind of first one way and then the other. So a little bit of a backwards thing there. and I really like how that turned out. And this is just packaging from some craft supplies. So I use that a lot. Don't hesitate to use that if you want to. I think they're really great ways to make the best use of our resources that we can. So here we go. Here comes the piece that I just thought turned out the best. Now you may disagree, let me know. I don't mind that at all. I really am open to hearing what you think and constructive criticism, but be kind. Check it out. Obviously there was a lot of paint on this to make that much texture. Oh, you can kind of see it, right? And then different areas don't all look the same. Like here you could see this edge is a little thicker, then it goes really thin, you know, just to like kind of disappears off the page. I like that. I don't like a lot of the uniformity necessarily. And then the background, it just looks pink, but of course it's that watercolor paper. And I don't know just when this dried fully. I checked it at about 2 hours and it was still, I thought it was still just a little tacky just because, you know, it was so thick. There was so much paint on there, but I really didn't see another way to get that kind of texture that I wanted. So I'm liking that. So that's probably going to make an appearance on our card with paint. And then, like I said, we'll have a card without paint. Now in here, I'm so ecstatic. I want to show you all the brads that I took out. So here we go. Oh, another piece of chipboard. I actually kind of forgot. I just threw that in there. So I've got some different buttons that have hearts, kind of a steampunk feel there. I love steampunk. And then some red buttons and pink buttons. And here's the brads. So can you see those? Really neat. So white and pink and red hearts. And then I also found some silver hearts. I thought those were really cute, those little brads. So we might not be using all of this, but at least then I have things just near me that I want for the project and I'm ready to go. I've scored and folded this cardstock, and I think what I want to do is cut down this huge texture piece to be a background for our design or whatever decoration we put on this card. So I'm going to go over to the cutting station. All right, so the card we've got is a 5x7, so it's 5 inches wide. So I think I'm going to trim this to 6 3/4. I really like that size, and I actually use my paper trimmer upside down because I'm left-handed, so that just kind of works better for me. All right, so now I've got 6 3/4 inches, so that's great on the length. Now let's go ahead and get the width like I want it. So it's 5 inches wide. Let's go for 4 3/4. And again, I'm going to pay attention to any areas maybe I don't like as much and just trim it to what I like. All right. Now we've got everything trimmed down. Let's go back to the craft table. All right, what I usually do is I adhere these pieces a little too quickly sometimes to my card base, and I might want to do some other things to that or use some brads. So we're going to hold off on that and we'll adhere this in a little bit as soon as we get the really cool other things onto here. So I've got two different kinds of magenta here. I've got an old Stampin' Up! Marvelous Magenta and then this Ranger Archival Magenta. They're two very different colors. So I think the Ranger Archival has a lot more of kind of a pinky look, and this has more of like a true magenta maybe, but I think I'm going to go with this one. And this one says adult use only. It is made in the USA, so I think that's cool. I just want to go ahead and edge the sides because I know I do want that to create a cool little frame. All right, this is what we've got so far. I went ahead and used an old Stampin' Up! Stamp from 1993. Really fun. I just love all the italics on those old stamps. Isn't it beautiful? And then I'm going to add some brads and something to the bottom here. I'll have to decide between the pink hearts, the red hearts, and white hearts, and then decide how we're going to do the bottom. All right, so I'm going to get some brads in here. I love using these scissors. They used to be my grandmother's. I don't know if it's Bakelite or what is in them, or what it's made out of, but it's pretty cool. They're really dull, but I just use it to have a spot to put my brads in. And now to try which brad I like with this. So I chose little pink brads to put in there, little heart ones. And then I want to get this little heart down on here. I don't know why, but I love it there so much. Before I do that, we're going to get a gem into this little spot on the heart, right over here. It just looks so neat. I really love the way that kind of just makes the whole thing come together. There is some adhesive on the back of this already, but I want to get a little more on there just to ensure it really doesn't come off. These are We Are Memory Keepers Gems stickers, so that's what I'm using. Don't mind all the paint on my sweater, but there you can see the pink little gem. All right, I'm going to use a little hot glue and get this down on the bottom. And obviously, anytime you're going to mail a card with a whole lot of dimension like that, I would put please hand cancel on the outside of the envelope, at the bottom on the front, someplace under where you put the address, and then hopefully it gets to your recipient undamaged, or of course you could put it in some kind of another, box or mailer. All right, I really need your opinion, so what do you think? The one with this, the brad with the squares, the hearts, or just the round circle? Which just fell out. Where did it go? Oh my gosh, it fell again. I can't get it. Okay, got it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. And then, obviously, against that, I like this square right because it kind of, looks like the background a little bit. Yeah, the square is cute, but I just don't like the colors, so I think I'm going to leave that one off. Oh, and if I didn't mention, I decided to go with this stamp. Nice on these 5x7 cards, I think, to use a bigger brad because you're not going to overpower the card, really. All right, I think I made a decision. Nearly miraculous. I'm going to go with these hearts. All right, and then the tape that I have in my adhesive tape glider is strong enough for metal. So I feel very confident about using it on this. It will hold on for sure. But if you had just a regular tape dispenser, I would probably not use that once you start getting heavier things on there, like brads and whatnot. That's just my opinion. I would say just go ahead and use hot glue or another stronger kind of glue. I'm going to turn this around just for a minute so I can get a good feel for where I want it. All right, now let's get that adhered down onto our card. I think I'm going to use my ATG. Only because, again, it's got the tape that's suitable for metal things, strong enough to hold on metal objects, so. And you can definitely tell. I think you might get less per roll. We wound up having to use some of this for our Christmas card, and oh my gosh. Because, I sent out a bunch of, Christmas cards. Well, a lot of them turned out to be New Year's cards. Through no one's fault but my own. A lot of them I sent out late. Alright, I'm going to have to stand up to get this on. So I'm going to do that and take this down. I got one shot at this because this tape is not playing around. Okay, I can feel it grabbing already, so I'm going to only be able to shift it around a little bit. I'm going to call it good. Now let's do a fun little touch on the inside. Here we go. Here's the fun little touch on the inside. A little cardinal. I just love how he looks. Now that we finished this card, let's go ahead and make the other one. So this one had paint involved and the other one will not. All right, so we completed the first card, the painty card, and now we're going to do a card with no paint. And this card will also have a masculine feel. So if you're trying to figure out what kind of card to make for a special guy in your life, this is a great option. So I've got some measurements here of the paper that we'll be using. The cardstock, again, has been scored and folded. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so you can see the measurements, the dimensions. All right, with this being a 5x7 card, our brown cardstock, this one here, is 4.75 by 6.75, so 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And then the layer that we're going to stamp on, white or like a cream layer, is 4.5 by 6.5. All right, so I used my ATG on this paper, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of my glue stick so that there's something to hold the edges down as well. It's kind of tricky when you're using an adhesive tape glider, especially when the tape is really strong. You can easily wind up with tape sticking out the edge, and you don't want that because everything will stick to it. It's pretty disastrous. Ask me how I know. Alright, so we'll get that layer down. And I've already edged this ahead of time. This paper has a white, core. And this isn't really a cardstock, this layer. It's a little bit thinner. Okay, I can already feel that tape grabbing, so I'm going to have to be happy with that. And then I recommend, before you put down your top layer, to go ahead and do your stamping. If you make a mistake, it's okay then. You don't have to start all over with a whole new piece of cardstock. All right, so the stamp set is this one, and I don't recall, and it doesn't say on it who made this. And the one that we're going to be using from that set is this airplane. Really neat, like a biplane, I guess, right? And then one of the sayings that says good time, and the other one says adventure. For that, and then for the sentiment, I have a teeny tiny happy Valentine's Day. And that one came from this Carpe Diem season stamps. There's 50 stamps here. They're all miniatures. When you have a large stamp like this and you have a large ink pad, it's really easy to just bring the stamp to it. But if you don't, if you have a smaller ink pad and you're going to ink it up, a big stamp like this, then just put the stamp upside down and go ahead and bring your ink pad to it. These aren't exactly the same type of ink, so I don't want to mix those up. And this ink is a dye ink, but it's oil-based. So you can really only clean this up with things like a little rubbing alcohol, hand sanitizer, that sort of thing. And if my nails look slightly different than the first part of this video, it's actually the next day. And I put on a little clear nail polish. I hope you're impressed. I like that right there, and I know where I want to put my other sentiments, so I think this will work out nicely. And then as soon as you get a stamp down, go ahead and press, but don't twist the stamp around. Sorry for my hair getting in the frame. I'm standing up, it's just easier sometimes to get leverage. So that's what we've got. There's our biplane. Pretty fun, right? Let's do Adventure at the bottom, and it is really dry here right now. So breathing on a stamp a little bit will give it a little bit of moisture. And now, normally if I wasn't doing a video, I'd grab my little bottle of hand sanitizer I keep here right at the table, just a little travel size one, and I'd squirt that on the stamps right away if I'm not going to use them anymore, just to clean it off. And then I love putting stamps at an angle. I just think it's more interesting. And this little tiny stamp is the one from that Carpe Diem set. I think one of the reasons why I like the 5x7 card, and I've mentioned this before, you've probably already heard me say this before, is just, you know, you have more space to work with. Oh, that looks like so much fun. And if you had some fun or learned something, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it so much. And maybe hit that thumbs up button while you're at it. So now we have a card that's decidedly feminine and then a card that's definitely masculine. If you have a favorite for whatever reason, let me know in the comments below. Which one is your favorite? Or would you have done the airplane on the pink card? That'd be cool too. And I'll catch you later.